we're seeing these lines then from the Kyodo news agency talking about average wage deals in Japan from these substantial unions. Rengo, I think, is what we're waiting to hear from, the largest union federation in Japan. Deals over 5%. That's historically high over recent decades for Japan. Draw a line between that, if that's confirmed, and what we're expecting from the BOJ next week.
Well, yeah, if this report turns out to be true, and we'll find out fairly shortly, I think, obviously it's historically high going back to the early 1990s, before the impact of the bubble bursting really started to bear down on the Japanese economy. In terms of how it affects the BOJ, I think it will not dissuade them from doing what they were already planning to do. I don't think it's going to change what their internal calculus already was, whether that's next week, which is looking increasingly likely based on the leaks and the reports that we've seen out of the bank so far, or whether that's in April or even into the summer. I think what the BOJ is looking for right now is anything that's going to throw them off course, and these quite positive results won't do that.
So the redhead crossing the terminal right now, Japan's Rengo, which is that union, of course, that umbrella of unions, annual wage hikes hit 5.28%. 5.28% versus 3.8% a year ago. You're looking at the biggest pay increases in more than 30 years out of Japan. Your reaction to that number then, Gearoid, and what would hold the BOJ back at this point?
My reaction to that number is, yes, it's definitely positive. It's a lot higher than I think most of the estimates were going to be. We should also bear in mind, when we're talking about the impact on the broader economy, that Rengo only represents about 7 million workers, mostly in larger companies. So the question for the broader economy is, what is the knock-on effects for small and medium-sized businesses? Are they going to have the same sort of pricing power that the larger companies have? And the answer to that is probably no. But in terms of what it means for the BOJ, that is obviously going to be positive. We come back to the question, or I keep coming back to the question of what is the BOJ trying to achieve in terms of hiking rates. It's not to control inflation, because inflation's already coming down as it is. It's not to tame an overheating economy like it was, in the US, because the economy, as we know, might not be in a technical recession, but it only barely dodged one. It's more of a sort of philosophical, I think, objection to the idea of negative rates and unwinding that previous policy.
OK, Gearoid, good morning. It's Guy. So you get a hike. Maybe we get a hike as early as March. Then what?
Personally, I think it will be wait and see. I think the idea that there was a mention earlier of a hiking cycle, or a comparison to what other central banks have done, I do not see that as being very likely. It's already taken Ueda, even assuming he does move next week or next month, that will have been a year since he came in. To go from minus 0.1 to 0, I don't think you're going to see this sort of sustained hiking cycle that you've seen in other countries. We may get up to 0.25 or something like that, but the Japanese economy cannot sustain a hiking cycle of the sort that you've seen in other countries, and indeed does not require one.